I had heard about the Pat Koons, the legend, for quite a few years. I think part of the interesting history of Pat was that he helped go around the state of Kansas, had county and regional meetings to introduce a new entity called Cattlefax.
We had a guest speaker one day in class, and it was a young gentleman named Pat Koons, who had just been hired by Cattlefax to start the Cattlefax program, which was brand new at the time. It was a new concept. Little did I know at the time, sitting in John McCoy's class, that I would also work at Cattlefax. Cattlefax was widely known as the leading expert in cattle market reporting. That didn't happen overnight. Somebody had to be the boots on the ground, if you will. And Pat Koons was that guy here in the state of Kansas. Pat started Cattlefax here. And he did it with a persistent drive to make it go. After a while, the owners at Kearney County Feeders in Lake, Kansas saw something in him and liked him, and they hired him. And so Pat became manager of Kearney County Feeders and built that into one of the classiest, most sought-after feed yards in the state of Kansas.
Pat did that for 36 years, I believe, developed friendships and acquaintances with people that fed cattle at Kearney County Feeders over that 36-year period all across the country.
We were doing a lot of business in a lot of areas at the time, and we had a lot of exposure with a good many feed yards, and we finally narrowed it down to 4 or 5, and he was the lead one. We went there first. If he didn't have room or couldn't handle us, then we'd go to even sublet feeders. Louis Trentman, he's another guy that was a big factor in the feedlot business.
I first met Pat at Kansas State University. We were both enrolled in animal science, and then we both pledged AGR fraternity, so we were fraternity brothers as well as in animal science together. A lot of us had a lot of the same customers because there was limited pen space available, so as a consequence, Pat and I took numerous trips to visit our customers together, which sounds strange.
I'm Marty Veneer. I currently work here at K-State. I'm director of the National Agricultural Biosecurity Center.
And I'm Mary Veneer. I am a real estate developer here in Manhattan and also the current chair of the KSU Foundation. You know, don't remember the exact time or date when I first met Pat. I've known him since I was a little kid, and you know, he's just always been around and has been a great friend to our dad and our entire family for that matter.
Well, the first time I can remember meeting Pat was a visit to Kearney County Feeders. And of course, I grew to know Pat actually quite well through the years because of his involvement in the Livestock and Meat Industry Council, actually his term as president of the Livestock and Meat Industry Council, and then ultimately all the ways that he helped the department in Kansas State University during my tenure as department head.
This facility that we're in today at the Stanley Stout Center was kind of his baby. It was his idea, and he was persistent in taking it to fruition to what it is today. At one time, it was just a pole barn idea for the purebred sale, and look at it today.
The thinking on this expanded to a multi-purpose facility, and it became a much, much bigger project than what was originally planned. And Pat had an important role in that. And I think almost everyone realizes now how important this facility, the Stanley Stout Center, has become, not just to our department, but the College of Agriculture and the entire university.
Pat and Stanley had actually roomed together in the purebred beef barn and worked at the beef barn and had gone around the show circuit together and had quite a long-term relationship. So it's just fitting that Pat was one of the key people to raise funds and actually see the construction of this building through.
I don't think without Pat's leadership, persistent leadership on it, that Stanley Stout Center would have happened like it did.
one of the most significant stories, and it's a little sad. He and Dad were at lunch on the day when Dad had his stroke. And so it was Pat who recognized what was going on. It's a testament to Pat that A, he was there, and B, recognized what to do. And I don't know that we've ever really had an opportunity to thank Pat for that.
Pat's always been the guy to visit Dad when they first moved to Manhattan, and Dad could still get out and about. You know, Pat came every week like clockwork, and take him out to lunch, drive him around, look at the cattle, look at this, that, and the other, and that was just a constant. You knew that would happen, and you know, as Marty said, we probably never have adequately thanked him, but if this is our opportunity, thank you, Pat Koons, because you have no idea what that's meant to us, and certainly what it meant to our father.
In all the years I was blessed to know Pat and work with Pat, he was always upbeat, always positive, always considerate. I think it's just a real caring for people and enjoying being around people that made him such a blessing to us and to our department.
Pat has become a very good friend in the last 10, 11 years. I just value any hour I have an opportunity to spend with him. I always learn something from Pat. As you go through life, you meet people that they have qualities that you wish personally that you had, and for me, Pat has a couple of those. One is the fact that he listens to people. The second thing is I love his laugh. You know, if you're in a building or a meeting with him, you're going to hear that laugh.
He giggles a lot.
His laugh.
Yeah, he giggles a lot.
His laugh.
He was always serious, but he could always laugh off any problems.
It's friendly, it's frequent, and I appreciate that about Pat.
Pat and Sharon have long time been staples at the football stadium with our family. We were taking Dad to the football games until COVID hit, and you know, he may not have known a lot of what was going on around him, but he sure knew that he was at a football game with his buddy Pat, and they might have a beverage or two and a little Call Hall ice cream, and they were as happy as clams. So
He's a go-to guy. That's what he is. He's a go-to guy. If you got trouble, call Pat Koons. If you want a good yard, call Pat Koons.
When Pat has a passion about something, he's persistent with it. It'll get done, like the Stanley Stout Center, like Cattlefax. You know, a lot of people are starters but not finishers. Pat will see it to the finish line.
I think the secret to Pat's success was he was always to overcome any obstacles we came up with and was always looking for new ways to make our industry better.
He was more than a business partner, he was a friend. He answers every call. Sometimes it's kind of late, sometimes the next day, but I mean, he always answers the phone.
A truly honest guy in the cattle business.
Yeah.
You know, that if something went wrong, Pat would own it and would help you out.
he's just one of those steadfast, Kansas-grown, Kansas-raised leaders that this university is very, very fortunate to have in its corner, supporting it, and great friend to our family.
So I'd like to congratulate Pat, Sharon, and all his family on being chosen for this prestigious award. He's very deserving.
Pat shared with me once that Don Good had called he and Stanley Stout in, I think have probably a come to Jesus meeting. And Don Good made the comment to both of them, said, if you boys would just get your plow in the ground, I think you could accomplish something. And I think Pat Koons has got his plow in the ground, and he has accomplished a lot in his involvement in his lifetime involved with animal agriculture.
He was a very successful business person. He has shown leadership throughout his entire career. We see it primarily through the livestock industry and through the Livestock and Meat Industry Council. He's a very loyal K-Stater. He loves Kansas State University, the Department of Animal Sciences and Industry, but for me, he's most of all a dear friend. And I would say I'm just so pleased to see Pat recognized as the Stockman of the Year.